Just wait till I tell y'all how. Well, I actually already did. I already told you how squirrel brain that I am. Found out this nugget 7 days ago, and it took me over 24 hours to realize that I actually learned that piece of information after Jeremy Fowler went and, reconnected the dots again, sort of relit the Jalen Ramsey fire. But I was already wanting to talk about corner anyways before I remembered that I had this. The Cornerback Conundrum featuring DaRon Bland, the Cornerback Contingency featuring Stephon Gilmore, and now obviously this Jalen Ramsey information here tying everything together. Let me run this intro and then we'll hit the ground running. Happy Saturday Night Live, by the way. Holiday weekend. Let's get a little background music. Can you guys even hear that? Hope so. I believe you can. Talk to me though. How we feeling? There's actually a lot that plays into this. Not just Jalen Ramsey, but the financial situation for Trey Diggs, DaRon Bland, Jalen Ramsey. It's not a cheap endeavor, right? Trading for him to acquire the services of a 30-year-old cornerback before having to pay him increasingly, borderline exponentially so with each passing year. It's a slippery slope, but the fact that Jeremy Fowler's report lines up with that piece of information that I was granted by an anonymous source or a source who wishes to remain anonymous, all within a matter of 7 days of each other. I don't know. To me, that's not nothing, but just connecting some dots. Tea leaves, meta-analysis, and breadcrumbs. The same homework that led us down the path of those of us here being on board with offensive line at 12. Similar situations. Okay, we're also going to talk about I want to hit on misreading Mazi Smith. Just food for thought. Okay, y'all know how long-winded I can be, but there's a lot to unpack. So I'm going to try the best that I can to be as efficient as possible, but no promises. Squirrel brain, dad brain over here. We are doing the best that we can. All right, let's run this. So we're all on the same page.
Nothing hard and fast.
The Cornerback Conundrum. The Dolphins are taking calls on Jalen Ramsey.
Nothing hard and fast, though, as far as a deal. NFC East could be one to watch. Dallas Cowboys, look, they made 3 trades this offseason, 4 players on rookie deals. Could they make a 4th trade on a NFL veteran who's on a bigger contract, certainly, but they need cornerback help? When I checked with somebody in Dallas, they said, look, it's possible we might not be done. It's slow right now, but, we could always be looking to add.
All right, Jeremy Fowler reported that yesterday. I'm so dad brain right now with so many different things going on that it took me a full 24 plus hours to realize that I actually got an anonymous a tip from his source who wished to remain anonymous last Saturday, so a week ago, that Jalen Ramsey did in fact purchase a house in Fort Worth. Do with that information what you will. The source said, he couldn't confirm that the house was for Jalen Ramsey specifically. And of course, I can't confirm that the Cowboys genuinely do have interest, but it's worth noting, if nothing else, that Jeremy Fowler's report and, seemingly connecting the Cowboys to Jalen Ramsey and the information that I stumbled upon a week ago, they do match up. The cornerback conundrum. All right, so we're all on the same page there, right? Like I mentioned, okay? Does this mean that the house is his? Because my source said that he couldn't confirm that either, but he knows where it's at and he knows how nice the place is. It's a nice place. Who's it for? I don't know. Does it mean that the Cowboys are actually really kicking the tires on this thing? Right? Jeremy Fowler seems to believe so. You know, at the very least, that they've picked up the phone, right? There's an obvious need there. Trevon Diggs situation up in the air, to say the least. He's got to go so far as to start up his own documentary detailing his rehab situation, as maybe in response to, and this is speculation, Jerry Jones's comments about his diligence, taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of with his previous rehabilitation prior to this one. And by the way, I did try to give, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, I tried to give that, I think it's called 7 on YouTube, Trey Diggs' documentary. I tried to give it a watch, and I came away, I couldn't help but feel that his cameraman or his camera work, whoever was behind the camera, that situation needed every bit as much of attention as his knee did. I couldn't. There was a lot of shaking and quick panning going on. I was getting nauseous trying to watch it, honestly, but that's just me. So you guys can maybe fill me in with some further context clues. Those of you that are out there listening to this, tapping in here, want to hear about Jalen Ramsey, you can let us know if there's something that I am currently missing about Trey Diggs. But to me, you know, it's widely regarded. We don't know what his timetable is, when he's going to play, when he's going to suit up, and we don't know what he's going to look like when he returns from injury. We got Javonte Williams going over here, you know, 3 years into his situation post knee, and he's saying he's just now feeling back to himself. Trey Diggs, this is yet another one. You know, we don't know what to expect. Okay, let's just be fair and concise with that. That is up in the air. We'll talk a little bit more about his contract in just a second. I want to pivot though. Okay, this is like, I'm trying to give you guys what you came here for as well, but also detailing and diving into some things that, in my opinion, matter more, because it's players that we know are going to be on the roster in 2025. DaRon Bland, there seems to be, I don't know where this came from, okay? There seems to be a narrative that the Cowboys could potentially be leveraging themselves by, you know, having DaRon Bland play more nickel this year. Like, his, you know, the reports from OTA so far, he's been repping inside. The Cowboys are looking to replace Jordan Lewis. So naturally, DaRon Bland he's getting reps there, right? They're trying to figure it out. Who's gonna plug and play and replace the highest paid now nickel corner in the game, Jordan Lewis. So it led fans to believe somebody. What's up, Chris? I hope you're enjoying yourself, man. I saw your picture earlier that you were, I think you were attending a concert. Was it Post Malone that you said? Hope you're having fun and being safe out there, brother. Thanks for being here, though. And shout out to Clemente for being in the house too. Thank you. DaRon Bland repping at slot slot corner this is not a leverage ploy for the Cowboys to potentially get DaRon Bland signed on a contract extension for less money than he's otherwise going to get. Okay, let's walk through this. CowboysCountry.com. Thank you to Mike Fisher for believing in what we do here. Thank you to those of you who are out there watching this, who, if you're new here, first timers, by the way, I'm Lando from The Lando Show.
All right, all right, all right.
And this is Sports Below the Surface.
I am inevitable.
Mike Fisher taking me under his wing a little bit. So CowboysCountry.com is where you can find all of my written work. And yesterday, I wrote about this right here, the very discussion we're having currently. And I think it's very important. And it's deep. So kick your shoes off, grab yourself a snack, get you a little drink, get you a blanket, sit back on the couch, and let's talk about this. DaRon Bland getting reps in the slot during these OTAs at the Star and beyond does not mean that he's lost his spot outside, or it does not mean that the Cowboys are leveraging his position against his money. It means nothing more than the Cowboys have problems to solve, and they're leaning on their most complete corner to fix them, okay? We talked about Trey Diggs still recovering from a major knee injury. Shevon Revel Jr., a clear steal in the 2025 NFL draft, right? By most accounts, first-round draft pick. He's got another knee injury of his own right. Okay, so that's two. Kaiir Elam, as big of a question mark as there is at this point on the roster. Early reports are that he's, coming along well. I wrote about the significance of what he said and his previous situation. CowboysCountry.com here as well. Elam Energy is the thumbnail. If you just Google my name, Landon Holyfield, Athlon Sports, Kaiir Elam, you can find some interesting bits of information about that situation and why the arrow could be pointed up for him too. But still, needless to say, it's a question mark at this point. Massive, right? And then, of course, second-year, fifth-round pick, Caelen Carson, who had a tough rookie go last year. It is what it is. So lots of questions and lots of injuries. All right, so Bland, though, who can play outside, clearly. He's a record holder, by the way, in pick sixes playing outside. He's also already proven that he can be really good inside as well. He can do both, okay? So he's being asked to move around a little bit. So what, right? His bank account, guys, it's not going to suffer because he's just going to play a little bit of slot corner. And now I guess let me just do a little bit more background on this, right? Slot corners, okay? I just told you Jordan Lewis now is the highest paid nickel corner in the game. And the total value of his contract was 3 years, $30 million. The highest paid outside corners today are making $30 million a year. Okay, so the league says, market value, that outside corners are 3 times more valuable than slot corners. I disagree. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly why. But first, let's just understand that DaRon Bland has already proven that he can do both. So that's a luxury. That's not an indictment. Whatever the Cowboys may think about, there's no way that they think this, okay? But even if they did, guess what? DaRon Bland has an agent. And his agent's going to say, okay, well, look, we got a daggum record holder over here, a guy that is played outside corner, already proven it at a record-setting level. Okay. The slot position is actually what he did. That's what he was known for coming out of college. That's what he played as a rookie. When he joined the Cowboys, that's who he was. When he set the record, he told us that before that season, he had never played outside corner before. Some people question that, but so you've already got that on the resume, okay? But here's the kicker, though. If DaRon Bland's agent was smart, and I want y'all to make sure, like, this next piece right here is a bit of a preview into the project that I teased on the last live when I told you that I'm doing something that I've never done before. And I've got a very special guest, one that you guys know very well, joining me to help me do this because I think it's that important. I want to make sure that it's heard. This is a very similar conversation. Matter of fact, it's cut from the same exact cloth. If Bland's agent were smart,
guys,
listen. I love that video, by the way. He would say, Jerry, Steven, wide receiver ones are living in the slot nowadays a lot more than they used to, increasingly so. Ask CeeDee Lamb. Look no further than CeeDee Lamb. That's all I have to say. This is a Cowboys-centric channel. But you guys know the names. Guys aren't entrenched on one spot, on one side of the field anymore. The ever-evolving NFL pendulum. Okay? But here's the thing. Let's take it a step further, okay? Slot corners, the market value, the league tells us that they're worth 1/3 of what outside corners are. That's BS. For one. The second thing that's BS is that the Cowboys aren't going to try to get DaRon Bland at slot corner value. By him repping at the slot is not what that means. That's what I'll say, okay? But even if that were the case for the Cowboys, even if they were trying to just sneak their way into some sort of hometown discount, saying, hey, you're not an outside guy, you're only an inside, and that's what we're going to pay you as, guess what? Somebody else will give it to him. They'll pay him for the luxury, the dual threat ability that we know that he is. Right? Even in 11 personnel, okay? So what I want, let's be clear, okay? Wide receiver ones are repping out of the slot much more now today than they ever have. Okay? CeeDee Lamb is not in one spot. You guys know that too well. That's all I have to say. He's moving all across the formation, pre, at snap, lining up everywhere. So even in 11 personnel, teams like the Niners, the Rams, those deployments that they feature, that's physical football, man. So yeah, it's a light personnel grouping technically, but you know what the Puka Nakuas and the Cooper Kupps and the Brandon Ayuks and Deebo Samuels of the world, and of course you guys already know what Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle are about. But all of their skill position weaponry, they get after it as run blockers. George Pickens gets after it as a run blocker. So when you're a slot corner, modern football, man, you're dealing with motion. You're dealing with condensed formations. Like, so shorter splits, right? In other words, you're closer to the box even than you otherwise would be in a lot of these West Coast systems, these shanty tree systems. Y'all remember when Trevon Diggs said that the shanty system is his least favorite to play against? You know why that is? Because of condensed formations. Navigating traffic, trying to cover, and then you're dealing with guys who are nasty at the point of attack as run blockers. He said he hates it. Remember when that made waves? So not only are you dealing with wide receiver ones, not only is it more difficult now to play in the slot because of just the amount of things that teams are throwing at you, but how close and tight things are in there. But then on top of that, right, you put, why is it? So I guess I should, let's just make sure that we laid it out cleanly. Okay. What's the advantage for offenses putting their wide receiver ones in the slot? A few different things. Okay. You can get them moving at the snap, right? You're hunting mismatches, trying to get them matched up, or just, in an advantageous situation. You're forcing communication rapidly. You're dictating your coverage. But then on top of that, maybe in its most simple form, the advantage is two-way goes. So you're giving the best receiver on the roster a free release because the slot corner ain't getting hands on him because he's either moving or off the ball or both. He's off the line of scrimmage. There's no boundary help in the middle. So there's all these different factors. And on top of that, you better be able to be willing to stick your nose in there in the run game and lunch pail, So the reason that's cut from the same cloth is it's a similar discussion. The project that I've been teasing that'll come out sometime next week, along with this, what I just detailed, it's all centered around the evolution of the NFL. That pendulum swinging back in favor of physicality. Why did I spend so much time this offseason trying to get people to understand, hey, not only is offensive line in play in round one, it's likely. It's because of this, guys. They're trends. Defenses had to counter. It's a chess match that's ongoing. And now offenses are countering back. I'll explain more about everything I'm talking about in the video. I want to save it. I don't want to spoil what I'm getting to. But there's a hidden message in all of it. Okay. Let's talk about 585 people in here, by the way. Yeah. Shout out to y'all. Make sure if it's your first time stumbling upon me or this channel or this platform, I write for CowboysCountry.com. I'm doing all kinds of different short form work on every platform. And I'm here. I'm on YouTube. Okay. Lando is my name. Sports below the surface is what we do here. you're not subscribed already, just the best way. There are various ways to support the channel, guys, but the cheapest and the easiest way to support me is to just simply hit the like button for me. And if you want to take it a step further, assuming you're already subscribed, just tell a friend. Share this with them. The truth for the true fan. Sports below the surface. Okay, my job is to creatively convey the truth for people like y'all, who are 600 of you in here now, at 11:36 p.m. Central Standard Time on a Saturday night in the middle of May, when we're still 3 months away from training camp. If without y'all, there is no me, okay? I'm doing the work here, but the work doesn't stop because I can't continue to bring you guys bigger and better if y'all don't also play your part. So that's all. The only favor that I need, the only favor that I ever ask is that you just do the one thing. And the one thing for most is just to like the video, because I know how easy it is to forget. I've been a content consumer before. I still am. I try to, as much as I can, support other creators who are doing what I do. To rising tide raises all boats, so they say. And speaking of which, shout out, by the way, to Vach Lombardi and Brian Broaddus for their announcement yesterday. Really exciting stuff, just at its baseline level. But I really think, like, as cool as that is, I told Vach last night, it's the tip of the iceberg for them and for what that means for people like me, right? It's giving us. We're continuing to break through, like giving people like me a chance. Vach Lombardi, man, he's on the freaking DallasCowboys.com covering the draft. He's just a dude with a camera and a microphone, as he says. And he's right, but he's as talented as they come, and people are paying attention. Now, thanks to Brian Broaddus, to people like me and people like Vach and countless others. Foots, Sky. I could be here all night naming people that deserve to have their name named, you know. The Cowboys have about $32 million, if memory serves, in cap space. Jalen Ramsey is going to cost, he's fully guaranteed 24 this year. He has a roster bonus that already triggered. So the Dolphins are responsible at minimum for $4 million of that. Okay. Do they have to trade him? No, they don't. They could if they don't find a suitor, they could cut him. They could post you and one designate him, split up the cap hit, take their lick, and move forward. That would be an admission of a complete and total rebuild. I think most people already feel that strongly about that being the case anyways, but I digress. Needless to say, without getting too overly invested or numbers are confusing. Okay. So it's so late right now, without spending too much time unpacking the contract, which I will do gladly. You guys know I have no problem doing that. I love looking at the salary cap, talking about contracts and projections and things like that. All I need for us to make sure we're on the same page with right now is that we all understand and can nod our head collectively that the salary cap today is fake. Tomorrow it's real. But today it's fake. It's cap hell. So they say, right? That's a popular term. Cowboys are in cap hell because of blah, 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 blah. You know, the Eagles are going to be in cap hell because of blah, 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 blah. It's a myth. It's an accounting principle. The salary cap is much more an accounting principle than any sort of hard team building restriction. So make sure we're clear about that, okay? if the means if they don't feel good about Shevon Revel's rehab situation and his availability for the season or for the start of the season, if they don't feel good about Trey Diggs' rehab and his availability for who knows when, the midway point of the season, if they don't have a ton of faith in Andrew Booth, which I don't know who does at this current point, if they don't trust that Caelen Carson can handle the moment in year 2, a lot of ifs here, then Jalen Ramsey could make a ton of sense for this team. He's under contract until 2028. Pull up this bow track here. You guys can just take a quick peek. Then we're going to talk about defensive tackle. On his 3-year, $72 million extension. Back in 2024, so last year. And then he's an unrestricted free agent as of, here it is right here for y'all to see. 2029. Okay, but what's important to pay attention to here is as a result of the restructure, they restructured some of his before his extension, actually, back in 2023, I believe. I'll have to double check on that. Somebody actually in the chat box can let me know if I'm accurate there. But they backloaded a ton of the money, right? Once again, this plays into the accounting principle that we just talked about, the salary cap stuff, okay? All you got to know with Jalen Ramsey is his contract, that $72 million extension that he signed on top of what they had previously restructured. There's a lot of money on the back end of this deal. So the longer you keep him, the more expensive he gets. You could restructure it again if you want to, but how much of that, $36 million cap hit are you pushing further into the future when he's going to be 35 years old? So this is a bit of a binding, it's a difficult situation for any team to put themselves in, especially one like the Dallas Cowboys, who are currently paying $21 million per year to Trevon Diggs, who are, knocking on the door of a decision with DaRon Bland. There's a lot of moving parts right now, guys. So I can't confidently say that this is something that I could see the Cowboys aggressively pursuing. I definitely can't see them giving up capital and paying for him twice. If he were to, because of this money, he's not going to be that expensive. So sure, maybe, they've already proven this offseason that they're willing to trade draft capital on day 3 to go and get a guy. If they've identified him as a fit, go get him. Would I love Jalen Ramsey to be here? Absolutely. Flip a 5th-round pick? Sure. To get him in here? Yeah, but, Stephen Jones, I'm telling you, he's still going to see it as they're paying for him twice, which they are. And he gets more and more expensive as time goes on. Could they see it as a rental situation? Just 1 year and reevaluate, because it's a palatable contract number this year, especially if we're correct in the assumption that the Dolphins have already covered $4 million of that 24 that he's guaranteed this year. The Cowboys could absolutely comfortably fit a $20 million corner, especially one of Jalen Ramsey's pedigree, on this roster. No rush on Trey Diggs then. No rush on Shevon Revel even. But I just can't confidently say that that's something that they're going to be aggressively attacking, especially considering they still have a decision to make with DaRon Bland. Could they see this as a leverage situation? That would, I mean, if we want to talk about leverage, that thing with DaRon Bland, people, the narrative that the Cowboys are repping him in the slot to decrease his extension number, his total guarantees, because the slot corner position is valued by the league foolishly, in my opinion, at 1/3 of what the outside cornerbacks are worth. Modern NFL, no way. There's no way that's the truth. That's the reality. But potential leverage could be, hey, how much do you want to be in Dallas? I don't know. I'm just spitballing, guys. DJ Dog says, Lando, you were the one who broke the Pickens trade as legit. I remember it was like 4 a.m. If you find it legit, I'm on board also. Yeah, so here's the thing. I know for a fact that Jalen Ramsey, and for those of you who are just now joining here, I know for a fact that he purchased a house in DFW. I can't confirm that it's for him to live in, and I can't confirm that the Cowboys are actually going to acquire him. I don't know that. But Jeremy Fowler's report 1 week after I got that information, certainly it's two dots that could be connected without question. What's up, Steven? I see you in here, man. I know that I remember, Jalen Ramsey in 2016, his draft year, there was some type of way. There was some animosity from on his end because he was told by Jerry Jones that if he was available at 4, that's who the Cowboys they were going to take him. It took Zeke instead. Jalen Ramsey obviously took exception to that at the time, but he's a much more decorated player than even he was then. He's a Super Bowl champion. I think he's got obviously I think he grew up a Cowboys fan. So Ty Church, he's got a good point. Stephen Jones did say some more moves are coming. He didn't guarantee that, but he's been hinting at it. There was the multiple substantive trades report that came out, and one of them has already happened. Obviously, that's George Pickens. There's just a lot that's up in the air, guys. Okay, I want to close the book on the cornerback discussion before we talk about misreading Mazi Smith here. That'll be a good way to finish this thing. Jalen Ramsey is much more than a name, just a name to me, Ty. Nick Chubb, I don't know if most people are going to like what I have to say about him. It's not that I don't. I've always thought of Nick Chubb as like the best pure ball carrier in football, or at least I did, 3 to 5 years ago. Pure ball carrier, yeah. But at this stage of the game, for me, how much of an improvement post-op is he over another post-op guy, Javonte Williams? So here, let me just say it this way, okay? The Cowboys, before they bring anybody else in, they're going to see what they got in camp first. If he just so happens to be on the market come camp and, they don't like what they see, 4 fresh faces in that running back room. All this year. Guys that have not taken a single snap for the Dallas Cowboys. Jaden Blue, Bill Maffa, 5th and 7th round rookies, respectively. Miles Sanders, league vet minimum free agent, and Javonte Williams, slightly above vet league minimum. 3 and change. Those guys haven't played football yet. All right. They're going to see what they have before they go out and acquire Nick Chubb. Okay. That's just my opinion. The running back situation is much more about the how than the who. I had I know Sadiqa is in here again tonight. She put me in flow state for about 15 minutes. I went on a passionate tangent on this topic here. I already touched on it with Kevontae Turpin sort of serving as the poster child for me making my point. It all has to do with the how. You give Kevontae Turpin a ball on an end around or a jet sweep, he's almost going backwards. First 7 carries of the season, 3.9 yards per carry. His next 5 carries of the season, they put him in the backfield. What happened? 9.8 yards per carry. More than tripled. Brian Schottenheimer, Clayton Adams, and Connor Riley all know a little thing or two about not just nuance and physicality in the running game. They understand marrying the two together. Both dimensions of offense play off of each other. Mike McCarthy did not understand that. And I'm on record as of a few days ago saying that is the number one reason that you sum up McCarthy's tenure in Dallas and why he's no longer here. His number one shortcoming was that he could not adapt his scheme and get his team, his offense, to be able to run themselves out of light box situations. Defenses, they went into shell, zone vision-based coverage. This is in a nutshell, okay? 4-man pressures, right? That whole thing. Linebackers sagging, not crowding the line of scrimmage, okay? Light box. And the Dallas Cowboys under Mike McCarthy could not punish them out of that. Your quarterback has no chance, guys, in the playoffs when you're getting 3.2 yards per carry. Running back yards per carry, each of the last 3 playoff losses, 3.2. Be mad at Dak all you want. But that right there is not a Dak problem. I don't need to go in depth on that. I'm not going to. Can't tell you how many times I've had to reinforce that. Defensive tackle. Okay. The contingency at corner. Before I forget, is this right here. It's late, but I kind of feel like I'm just now entering flow state a little bit, getting warmed up over here. So we got some time. As long as you guys want me to go, or as long as you guys are still getting something from this, I feel like I'm not dragging, then we'll keep going. Right here. Can y'all see this? And another point here too, this doesn't necessarily even relate to Jalen Ramsey, but give me cash makes a good point. I don't think I've touched on that yet. Steven's going to watch the waiver wire come June 1st. That will, just for clarification, post June 1 designations can come prior to June 1st. But yes, that's a good point. They'll be scouring that market, but I I went back and looked as far as difference-making players goes on the post-June 1 designations, like especially at defensive tackle, which in my opinion is still the biggest question. Because of the difficulty it is to find difference-making ability at that spot. And I'm talking about one tech. That's just a little teaser, okay? Misreading Mazi. We're going to elaborate. But closing the book on corner real quick. The cornerback contingency, okay? It's been a little quiet as far as acquisitions are concerned, free agency, trade market, whatever. There's a name that's been hovering below the surface, and it's a name that you guys know well, right? It's Stephon Gilmore. Okay, the same Stephon Gilmore that started 17 games last season, the same guy who represented himself at Tyron Smith's retirement press conference. Y'all remember when he's like just all of a sudden appears out of nowhere into the building? Just oh hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing? And that made waves across Cowboys land. But he did so with like this quiet, almost subtle level of just the dignity, maturity, composure, just a true pros pro, right? Always operated as like that father figure in the cornerback room and in the locker room. That's just the way that he's viewed, right? The fact that he can just still show up kind of unannounced and unexpected and just just do his thing, right? So I think Mike Fisher was actually the first to report. So Cowboys Country's own Mike Fisher to report that he showed up at the Star that day, right? Still on the open market. Not technically part of the plan, but to me, it's a logical contingency. Okay. Once again, for the same reasons as the Jalen Ramsey situation, right? We're not sure about Trey, not sure about Shevon Revel, Caelen Carson. Doesn't look great. This is all like we're talking about camp now. So fast forward three months when we can really evaluate. We're going to learn a lot real quick, y'all, about corner in camp this year. Because CD will actually be participating. And there will actually be another alpha dog participating alongside him. So we're going to find out real quick. Like the Cowboys are going to have their questions answered about the depth at that position. Is Kaiir Elam ready? Is Caelen Carson ready? How close is Shevon Revel? We know he's about it, but what's his health? And then how quickly can he return to being 100% of himself, his pre-injury self? We're going to get those answers, okay? If there are any questions whatsoever about any one or more of those guys, I promise you, Stephon Gilmore's phone is going to ring. Okay? Championship level pedigree. Already talked about that. His resume speaks for itself, guys. We know what he's about, who he is and what he's about. Okay. He's also cheap. Maybe most importantly here. Signed for $7 million last year. You'll probably get him for a handful in 2025. 34 years old, but still available. I mean, played every game last year. But if nothing else, he's still that stable presence, the guy that can sort of help cultivate the growth of the future generations, the Elams, the Carsons, even the DaRon Blands of the world, right? Mentorship type thing. Okay, just be thinking about that. Now to defensive tackle. And you guys are getting a sneak peek at this. This hasn't been published yet, edited or published, but it will be in the ether tomorrow. No urgency at defensive tackle, despite thin depth. Okay? Mazi Smith. one of the more overlooked realities of the offseason, right? Because all the focus and the hoopla on wide receiver 2 and then the Cowboys fan base or media or content space, or whatever you want to say, maybe all of the above, at war with each other about, it was like, I guess, skill versus trench at one point, right? Which was never my intention to take it to that level, but it just sort of happened organically, I guess, because so many people were passionately against O-line. And that's okay. But I think it sort of took a back seat because of the discussion being so hyper-focused elsewhere. All right. So minimal depth at defensive tackle right now. You got Mazi Smith. You've got Jay Toya, 7th-round rookie. And you've got second-year, 7th-round man in his own right, Justin Rogers, who was drafted, cut, reacquired, and placed on the practice squad by the Cowboys, okay? The second most difficult position to find difference-making depth at. Second only to quarterback. Y'all let me know right now. If I see enough, just put why, WHY in the chat if you don't understand why I say that or what I mean when I say that. Why defensive tackle is the second most difficult position to find difference-making talent at. Second only to quarterback. If you don't understand why, put why in the chat. About 800 people in here right now, I think. Almost 900. I'm going to take a quick restroom break, 30 seconds or less. If I see 10 whys in here, then I'll unpack it. If not, we'll continue. Be right back. Check the chat. There's 1, 2, 3. Hey, I see you picking me up. Salam. Thank you, brother. In response to Dan's, Dan 1995, well, we didn't think that the Cowboys were going to get Pickens. Lando did. He sure did. I didn't know. I was just connecting some dots, man. It made sense. I got lucky. All right, there's 5. Got 5 Ys. Let me get my ammunition prepped here in the event that we get 10 of them. Give about another minute or so, 30 seconds or so, and then we'll move on. If not. How we feeling? I will crack the case. You damn. Damn! You damn right I will, Cash. That's what we do, man. That's what that sign is about. The Lando Show, Sports Below the Surface. That's what we do here. I see Eric trying to be sneaky with his second Y. You ain't slick, Eric. I respect it, though. Think smarter, not harder, right? So what I'm trying to figure out here, guys, and I'm gonna be just transparent real quick because this is always going through my head. I still don't know to this day. At the top of my screen, it says that there's an eyeball and it says 921 right now by it. I don't know if that's the amount of people that have been in here or if that's the amount of people that are currently in here. So if somebody, Salam just said, I just want to hear it no matter what. I already know why, but I want to hear it again. Man, Salam. Yeah! I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. And thank you, by the way, if I haven't mentioned this yet, to the official partner of the Lando Show, Waggle. QR code's right here for y'all. Get you some summer gear, man. That we helped them with their most recent summer drop. But that QR code right there will take you whoa. We got right there. It's the discount's already built in for you. So just scan that. Whatever you guys like. We got the beach ball hat here. This is one of their new campfire collection. It's just a little button down. It's the lightest summer. Perfect for summer in Texas. Man, they're doing fun stuff over there. Okay. But just because Salam says so, we'll unpack why real quick. This right here. Oops. Can y'all see this? You can see it. I know you can. I'm just asking to be nice. That green arrow where it says rising stock. Cowboys need one major roster move. Still. And the stats reveal why. All right, quickly. You're asking for, first and foremost, guys, it's a numbers game, okay? Defensive linemen, but particularly defensive tackles, are almost always outnumbered. So in most cases, defensive tackles specifically are fighting against 2, sometimes 3 incredibly strong, incredibly big, incredibly smart, and incredibly technical grown men. You ever thought about offensive linemen, right? There's 5 of them. In a perfect world, barring injury or, some unforeseen situation, outside circumstance, they don't come out the game. You ever ask yourself why that is? Or why defensive tackles, why you need 4 of them minimum, sometimes 5 that rotate in? Think about that. They're wrestling against 2 guys at a time, oftentimes. You know how difficult it is to not move against your will? And that's your main job, is to try to anchor against 2 other guys who are doing everything that they can to displace you. Okay, that's the first thing. So it's a numbers game, right? Secondly, I talk about this all the time. So you go to any high school, any college in America, okay? You'll find 4-3 guys. You'll find 4-4 guys. There's skill position talent everywhere. every school's got a Division I, every high school's got a Division I caliber sprinter. Okay. Every college has a NFL caliber speed or skill position player. But both of those things are nowhere close to being true at the defensive tackle position. The biggest jump, every level of football, middle school to high school to junior college, JUCO to D1, FCS to FBS, FBS to Power 4, Power 4 to SEC, SEC to NFL. What's the biggest jump? Trench play. Yes, but taking it a step further, the dynasties in college football, and Texas is already in the process of inserting themselves into that same discussion for this very reason, by the way. But the Georgias, the Alabamas, and even back in the day, Clemson, who's still kind of hanging around right now as far as national relevance, predicted to be in the CFP again, predicted to have the Heisman Trophy winner right now. Good squad. Those teams, they had something that nobody else did. Anchors in the middle of their defensive line. Trench play, yes, but more specifically, defensive tackle play, defensive tackle dominance. Okay? Very few of those schools can say that they are that type, that fit that mold, the dynasties of college football, because very few of those difference-making defensive tackles exist. Everybody got fast guys. If supremely athletic, smart, high IQ, gifted, skill position talent. They're everywhere. Not everybody got a fat boy that also fits the same criteria. Powerful. High IQ. Technical. Willing to do the work in the film room. Okay? It's rare enough to find somebody that's actually physically capable. But then to find somebody that's physically capable, and then for that physically capable person, when it's already rare to find them anyways, it's even more rare to find the physically capable dude who's actually mentally willing to put the work in. Damn! And then on top of that, the numbers game, the rarity, and then now it's just modern football. Once again, offensive coordinators are creative, man. So not only are you outnumbered, offensive linemen, they at least have the luxury of knowing where the play's going. As a defensive tackle, you don't. So you're fighting two people at one time, and you're also guessing, trying to figure stuff out, sort through the noise, sort through all the misdirection, all the motion, all the bodies, all 7 300-pound men flying right downhill at you. Not 7, but 5 and sometimes 6. If you're the Cowboys, it would be 5 and a 270-pound tight end, grab and span 4. Hello. He was in my offensive line, or my offense starting lineup prediction that went live a few days before OTAs. I can show you guys where it was. It was a while back, I think. Did I miss it? Oh, right there. So May 15th, Cowboys 4 new starters projected in Dak-led offense. Reverend Span 4 was one of them. Okay, so Misreading Mazi. Okay. I know what the public narrative is. I know that I am in the minority, at least of people that are is willing to paint the picture for Mazi, suggesting that things didn't exactly, he didn't exactly get a fair shake. It's okay. It is what it is. There's no perfect situation. But Mazi sort of, he's had quite the interesting go as a pro. I think y'all know where I stand on it, but briefly, once again, overview. You take a 330-pound two-gapping anchor as a one-tech who's known and built to stop the run. It's what he did. It's why he was drafted. Or that's who he was in college. And you ask him as a rookie to make the transition into the professional ranks. Well, I already told you why it's so difficult, why their job is so difficult. So he's making that transition at the highest level, all while trying to tackle another full-time job of losing 30 pounds because different regime had a different plan, trying to turn him into somebody that he maybe necessarily wasn't, a pass rusher, trying to validate the first-round capital, right? Because, once again, conventional wisdom ain't always wise, but the Cowboys the initial reaction when Mazi was selected wasn't good. But it's not because people thought that Mazi was going to bust. It's because the value of the position, or so we thought. Another teaser for the project that I can't wait to bring to you guys next week. I'm trying not to reveal too much. Misreading Mazi. It can be summed up as simply as this. The same tea leaves meta-analysis and breadcrumbs that led me to the conclusion that the Cowboys were desperately trying to get better at guard, contrary to most public belief. In round 1, at pick 12, follow a similar line of thinking. Cowboys were throwing dart after dart after dart after dart, trying to desperately get better at guard all offseason. Yes, they signed Osa Digizua. Yes, they brought in Solomon Thomas. But you know what those two guys have in common? You know what those two guys don't do? They're not run stoppers, anchors. They don't play the same position that Mazi Smith plays, that Jay Toya plays. Does it bode well for Jay Toya to make a transition faster than, we can only hope, guys, right? It's very optimistic to expect him, a 7th-round rookie, to be a difference maker in year 1. I'm just telling you, as much as I love the pick, as much as I love the player, as hopeful as I am and want to be about what he can bring to that room, a room that's been neglected for the Cowboys for far too long, it's very unlikely. Now, there is a caveat. The bloodline matters here. The fact that he knows what's required. He knows how to be a pro. He's got that family lineage. It's in his DNA to do this. So he's probably ahead of the curve. Right? And I already told y'all, I wrote about it. He's probably not a 7th-round pick if his arms are a couple inches longer. Can you anchor the middle of the Cowboys defense? You can play for my team. Can you occupy blocks so that Micah Parsons, Marvin Overshown, Maris Leofau, Donovan Ezeraku, can you keep those guys clean so that the Lions the Simba and his pride can go hunt. Jack Lambert. Jonathan Allen was a layup, guys, by the way. I see your comment there, too, about Buckner. Jonathan Allen in free agency wouldn't have counted against the Cowboys comp pick formula because he was a cap casualty. They cut him before he wasn't on an expiring contract. So the Cowboys could have paid him $150 million and he wouldn't have negated. He wouldn't have eliminated a potential comp pick in return for, say, a Jordan Lewis departure. I think the Cowboys are still right now net +2 in all likelihood for. I mean, the comp pick formula is closed, but April 28th, I think, is when that shut down. But I think they're +2 now. But needless to say, misreading Mazi, the Cowboys weren't aggressive at that position. There was no tea leaves, meta-analysis. There was no breadcrumbs. I mean, maybe that we created as a fan base or whatever. They weren't throwing crap at the wall, hoping it would stick like they were at offensive line prior to the draft. And then the draft gets here, and they waited all the way until the 7th round to address it then. There was a lack of urgency. Okay, so all I'm getting at here, as far as misreading Mazi goes, is they weren't showing the same level of aggression to address that position as they were offensive line or wide receiver or linebacker. So to me, it says something. And it's that the coaching staff feels a lot better about Mazi Smith than we do. He didn't play bad last year, guys. I've watched every single snap he's taken. The flashes are there, for sure. And the way that I see Mazi Smith, the way that I personally, the Lando, the way that I see Mazi, last year was Mazi's rookie year. He was asked to become something that he was not, instead of focusing on making already the second most difficult transition. Okay. Do y'all rocking with me on that? Does that make sense? Oh my goodness. People forget Tristan Hill. Yeah. So I've already actually, Cash, I wrote about Andrew Billings a while back just because of the connection to Eberflus. DJ Reader, to me, just feels a little bit rich. Yeah, see, ratio. There you go. Yeah, good call. Good call, plug and boss. Do you have I haven't seen the video, but I'm assuming you're talking about YouTube. Boss proved that. Plug the link in here, or I don't know if the link would work. I'm not sure how the chat box works. But just tell people what to search to go and see. If he actually dedicated an entire project to it, that's good work. and that deserves to be seen. I met Boss for the first time last year. I got a lot of respect for him. He does good work. Okay. So Boss Cowboy Sports is who Ratio is referring to. Dan, so fair question. He says, do you think that if the Cowboys get Ramsey in a trade, it means that they are guaranteeing a Super Bowl run? So here's the thing. Let's phrase that differently, okay? The Cowboys can't guarantee. They can do whatever they want. They can't guarantee anything in the NFL. And I know that you know that. I'm just saying, I'm making sure that we're perfectly clear here. They already are operating as if they recognize their win it window. I wrote about this too on cowboyscountry.com. I called it the win it window. I think there's actually a YouTube video devoted to it as well. Need to be better about pulling clips, guys. I'm sorry. I got 2 small children and 2 small businesses I'm running. So squirrel brain, that was part of the intro, right? I completely forgot that I got the nuggets on Jalen Ramsey that I had until, almost 36 hours after Jeremy Fowler's report of them shopping him and connecting them to the Cowboys resurfaced. So I forget where I was going with that. But look at, so teams like the Vikings, and just so we're clear, guy, I forgot to mention this too. The most money spent in free agency in 2024. You know what the second most money allocated to any position in the entire National Football League in 2024. So last year, last free agency, the second highest dollar figure towards all free agent additions at this one position. Do y'all know what it was? Defensive tackle. Edge was 1. Defensive tackle was 2. And I want so badly to elaborate, but I'm just going to bite my tongue for the sake of next week's video. The pendulum is swinging, guys. Ramsey at safety. You crazy. That's funny. I'm sure he could do it, but that's not what would happen. What else am I missing? This says 1,054 people in here. If that's actually true, thank you guys so much. I don't got the words to talk to me before we get up out of here. 12:30. And I kind of agree with Dan here. The Cowboys got to prove to me that they are physical enough up front before I can go and just say that, that they're Super Bowl contenders. They can put up 40 points a game all they want with George Pickens, but if they can't stop the run, it's not going to matter. What is this mop? What do we got? Look at this. What the heck we got going on over here? Might start a new trend. We're taking Lloyd Christmas to a whole new level here. Just go Avatar. There we go. Oh, man. It might be time to go to bed, boys and girls. Yeah, see, I still don't know. Dan, maybe you can tell me. Does that mean that that's how many people are in here right now? Or is that just a running tally? I feel like I'm missing something, though. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that, man. Here's the means to support the channel, by the way. Just it's always in the description box. But if you want to bypass YouTube's 30% that they take for super chats, you can do it that way too, right there at the bottom. But just a simple like, man. That's the cheapest and the best way to help me continue to grow. Like I said, my job is to creatively convey the truth to you guys to the best of my ability. The truth for the true fan. These are my blue light glasses, man. I just my line of work, what I do. Got to protect the ojos. I would say Micah, man. I would say very low. I don't know why the Lions would be selling. And thank you, Stephen White, for the sub. Appreciate you joining the family, man. Thank you. The Cowboys have been soft in the middle of both sides of the line of scrimmage. The last half decade, their most significant losses. That was the why. Olive Weed says the same thing. He says he's sub. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Maybe Jay Toya breaks the trend. Maybe he's the exception. Okay, I'm just telling you guys what the norm is. It is so difficult to find difference-making talent at that position. So I guess let's just close it out. Let's talk. So Mazi and Toya are your one techs remaining. That's true, Micah. We don't know if they're enough yet. The meta-analysis suggests, like I mentioned, that Mazi Smith, the coaching staff feels better about him than the general public. And to those, like Ratio mentioned a minute ago from with the video that Boss Cowboy did, I'm gonna go watch it myself. I haven't seen it yet. Mazi's put enough on tape to at least be optimistic for the narrative to be what it is currently, as a no doubt, no brainer bust, has no business being on this team, cut him, all that kind of crap. No, not even close. And I'm an optimist. Yes, I am. I'm an optimist by nature. But that's not an optimistic take to suggest that is false completely. to suggest that Mazi has no business being on this roster, that he's a no doubt bust. He's a bust relative to our lofty expectations, unfair expectations. And he busted as Dan Quinn's pass rushing one tech project. Yes, that is true. But the Mazi Smith that we knew prior to arriving in Dallas, that guy has 1 year in this league. And that 1 year was serviceable. Especially considering what we know, what we just talked about the difficulty of that position. People don't understand what they're watching. If they're saying those things, that Mazi, that they're writing him off. The defensive tackle position is not discussed nearly enough as far as importance in this league to make those Super Bowl runs, to having those difference-making type players. Just think about the last, what? I wrote about this too. The last 5 Super Bowl champions. Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Jalen Carter. Milton Williams as well. The Niners, they didn't win the Super Bowl yet, but what have they had? More so than anybody else in the league in their perpetual run as NFC championship game contenders, Super Bowl contenders, participants. Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, Javon Kinlaw. Pay close attention to the Vikings this year. If they can get quarterback stability, that the most important position is still up in the air for them. But don't be surprised. Look what they did in free agency, and don't be surprised. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, yes, Joel, you are late to the party, but that's okay. We got the playback function. That'll be more than an adequate alternative for you, man. Appreciate you being here, though. Better late than never, of course. The dynasty prior to the Chiefs, the dynasty of the 2010s, and a little bit before that, I guess. The Patriots. Vince Wilfork. Remember that guy? Different era. So I'm not going to go too in depth there. But you guys get it. You guys understand where I'm going. Pressure from the middle. I'm going to leave y'all with this. This is the last sneak peek and the last nugget that I'm going to give you, because I'm going to give too much information away if I sit here any longer, because I can't hold it. I can't take it anymore. The pendulum has swung back in favor of physicality. Defenses got smart. They finally caught up after about 10 years since the spread took over back in 2010. I realize that's 15. But we're 3 years into the shift is what I'm... So just go with me here. Defenses counter. They put more speed on the field. Hybridized linebackers, more defensive backs, and edges that can drop in zone coverage. Along with that, more athleticism, smaller bodied guys, coverage ability on the defensive side of the ball, more athletic edges. Defensive coordinators got crafty. They started fabricating pressure through the interior. Mike Zimmer made famous, most notably, the double-A gap mug. Okay? That's just sort of an aerial overview of where I'm going with this. It's very calculated. It's very deep, but it's very Very relevant. And Brian Schottenheimer knows this. It's a lot of hype, a lot of Kool-Aid right now. Rightfully so. You should be excited about Brian Schottenheimer. But let me just say, let's be clear. One guy's philosophical change to culture, team building does not override 30 years. Okay? It does not guarantee anything. But at least for tonight, Saturday night, Sunday morning, you, me, and us, we sleep well. We take solace knowing that the Cowboys finally understand what I'm about to unpack next week, what I'm already in the process of doing right now. Let me show you all a little something. I'll give you an actual peek. I'm just really fired up about it. Never done it before. It's taken me some time. Just a completely different style, but it's been fun. They didn't lie to us about left tackle position. That's all you get. We were not lied to. But we are being misled, just like we just talked about with Mazi Smith. Boom. All right. Thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate it. Make sure assuming you're already subscribed, hit that like button for me. It's the best and cheapest way to help me out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And with that, remember that prayer changes things and the war is already won. Talk to you guys soon.